Now, looking forward, there is Germany is going to have election soon.
Yeah.
Okay, what is your take on that? I mean, Alice Vidal, her party, the AfD, is increasing, support in the
Yeah.
polls, but they still not the biggest
No.
party based on the polls, right?
No, I agree. I agree. Now, I have to say, I've been told that there is private polling, which is putting them even higher than some of
Mm-hmm,
this public polling is.
mm-hmm,
But as it's private, I don't know, and I don't want to guess about something. As I said, I don't really know about. It does seem as if the IFD has momentum. Um, However, it faces a political class in Germany which is very, very entrenched, and a society which is very, very accustomed to seek stability and stability within its existing political class. So it
mm-hmm,
will be very difficult, I think, for the AfD to break through
mm-hmm.
and to become the biggest party in this German election. I don't think that's going to happen. So I assume it's going to be the CDU. I assume the next chancellor will be Friedrich Merz. Merz is a dyed-in-the-wool pro-American Atlanticist.
Mm-hmm.
He formerly worked for BlackRock, just to say. That
Uh-huh.
gives you some idea of who he is. Um, and most likely, he will try to form a coalition with either the SPD, in other words, the existing government party,
Mm-hmm.
Olaf Scholz, in other words, or the Greens. I mean, it could be one of those, or perhaps even both of them, depending on how well the AfD does and how badly the CDU does. So it's unlikely that German policy will change. But the fact that the AfD is making such big inroads shows how unhappy German society is becoming. And of course, a government which is essentially the same as the existing government after an election in which Germany is so unhappy and when there are so many problems mounting in the German economy sets the scene for more trouble going forward. You can't just go on
Mm-hmm.
doing this and expect that something won't eventually change. Now, I've met people from the AfD, and I have to say something. As a party, as a political group, they tend to be fairly keen on good relations with Russia.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They are much less keen about China.
Okay.
And the reason is, and I have to say this again,
Mm-hmm.
there is an ethno nationalist element
Uh-huh.
within the AfD. So the Russians, as we've discussed this before, are white Christian Europeans. The Chinese are not.
Mm-hmm.
And that is an issue. I hate talking about this,
Mm-hmm.
but that is a reality that has to be faced, and the Chinese people need to be aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
People who I know, the one big country in Europe where this isn't true at all, apparently, is Russia. Just to say,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yes, and then the same thing. I think you can say the so-called far right in the U.S., even
yeah,
though they're correct on a lot of the domestic and even their attitude
yeah,
towards Russia is much friendly.
yeah,
One thing I think they hate China or they very anti-China is because they hate communism. They still believe
mm,
China. I mean the racial elements definitely there,
yeah.
but also because they see China as a communist country, which they don't quite understand China. I feel like China is way more complex than that, but that's the simplistic view of China, isn't
They
it?
don't understand. They don't understand China. They don't understand communism. They don't understand socialism. They don't understand any of
Yeah.
these things. But they put all these misunderstandings together, and they come up with something absurd. But anyway, there it is. You're absolutely correct. That is absolutely true. They don't like the Chinese,
Mhm. Yeah.
partly because the Chinese are different, but they don't like the Chinese because the Chinese are better doing so many things than the Americans are, and they don't like the Chinese because they're communists as well.
Mhm.
We don't like communists. I have to say, um, if you've read, um, especially early 20th century British popular literature, and indeed American popular literature, but even more British, which did have apparently big traction in the United States. The views that are expressed of the Chinese people there are dreadful. I mean, they are absolutely awful. And I mean, you know, all the sort of, well, I'm not going to even talk about them. But I mean, so I'm afraid these issues that people have in the West with China, in the Anglo-American world, go back before communism. Just saying.
Yeah.
I will give one example, actually, because it was one that I came up with directly. There was a British journalist and historian, so-called, called Edward Backhouse, who was based in Beijing. And he wrote a very famous book called China under the Empress Dowager. He wrote it in about 1908, I think. And you read it today, and I mean, it's just racist to the point of insanity. And it's subsequently been proved that he forged nearly all of the documents upon which it is based. But the amount of influence it had in shaping British ideas about China at that period, I mean, it was accepted completely as, you know, the great work of scholarship about China at that time. And it still has its influence to this day, even though it's been discredited, because so many of the stories and myths that he propagated have become part of the popular culture that, you know, they still percolate, and they still poison the ground, if you like.
Yeah, it definitely, there's a lot of racist elements to the whole foreign policies from the United States, from European countries, definitely.
Yeah. I'll give a very simple example. During the, I don't know how it's described, but the you know, there's the uprising of what we call in the West the Boxers. I know in China you have a completely
the Boxer rebellions. Yeah.
The Boxer Rebellion, exactly. Well, there was a famous statement that the Empress made at the time, which was, you know, never the word peace. Now, what she meant was that China is appallingly afflicted. The Chinese people are never given an opportunity to enjoy peace. That whole sentence was turned round, and it was made out that she had declared war on the world and was saying that there should never be peace with them. I mean, and this is in this book. I mean, it's quite incredible.
Yeah, the West is very good at manipulating things.
Manipulating language in this fashion, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's not just towards Chinese. I guess any non-white. I think
absolutely.
Malcolm X at one point said that they're going to convince one of us to kill the other one of us so that they can claim it is one of us who did this, right? So that summarizes that how they like to make it happen, you know, that they will say, you see, you guys did this, you know, that's why you're inferior, you know. So
whatever you think of the Empress, as I said, this is actually a very sad statement expressing concern for the afflictions of the people of China. And as I said, it's turned into something completely different and insane and aggressive. I mean, but you know, you have this all the time. It's, by the way, in Western scholarship, this book has a very, very bad reputation now. I mean, but the number of academics who still, without understanding sometimes, continue to repeat stories that he propagated is terrible.
Okay. That's all I have for now. Let's see what's coming up. I mean, I think the German election probably will. I forgot whether it will be before or after next Wednesday, but we will see what's happening there. And in the meantime,
yeah, indeed. And in the meantime, we also have the Putin-Trump summit if it happens.
Yes, if it happens. Yeah, supposedly. Okay, we will see. And And also, let's see if Elon Musk can get to audit the gold reserve in the US.
We will indeed. Okay.
Thank you
Have a
so
very
much.
good week. By the way, I'll look out for this film and I'll see if I could get a Blu-ray version of it.
Okay.
Presumably, it will appear. I mean, we can access Chinese films that way. I mean, you're still able to find Chinese films like that. You can't find Russian films anymore, by the way. I mean,
Okay.
they are much more restricted. But anyway, I'll look out for it now.
I watch it. Like you said, it is actually available in the US. So
Well,
even
there you go.
I live in
Well,
a
there you go.
small town, I could see it. So I
Yeah,
saw
well,
it
there you go.
last Saturday. Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
have a great week.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.
Right, bye.